Is the British government failing the most vulnerable among us? In this video, survivor Ellie Reynolds, who quit the grooming gang scandal inquiry, talks with Nigel Farage at a press conference on the manipulation and silence she faced. We also break down why this betrayal shatters the core principle of servant leadership and explore the path to real change. Before we get into the details, if you love diving into political issues and enjoy hearing a principled take on them, then hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe to join the conversation. It will help our channel reach a wider audience.
The difference with what we call the grooming gang scandal is that it is the mass industrial scale sexual assault and rape by anonymous, unknown persons, and it's been going on across this country on a scale that is simply unimaginable. It has been going on for many, many decades. It has been going on for too long, and there is a huge racial and ethnic dimension to it. A very large part of these crimes can be attributed to racism in its absolutely worst possible form. And yet this has been met by the collective establishment, and by that I mean social services, police, councillors, members of parliament, governments, by abject cowardice and willful and deliberate neglect. And I first became aware of the scale of this when I went to Rotherham in 2013. And people were coming up and telling me what had happened in that town, the scale upon which it had happened. And I have to say that initially I looked upon it all with a degree of disbelief. Surely nothing as large as this, nothing as appalling as this could have happened on this scale without it breaking as a massive public story beforehand. And by 2014, this was a national issue, one that had led to great anger in our country, and much of the rest of the world looking on in absolute horror. They simply couldn't fathom that something like this had happened in the United Kingdom. And yet ever since then, there have been a few inquiries, but very little has happened. This is a stain on our country in every way. It's one of the worst things I think that has ever happened. And there's strong evidence that it's still continuing, and much of it within a few miles of where I'm speaking to you now. As a political issue, well, Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the opposition, can say what she likes. But as women's minister, for a period of 2 years, not one single time did she raise this issue in the House of Commons. And as far as Labour are concerned, well, it's clear, it's very, very clear. They have absolutely no desire for any serious inquiry to go ahead. I spoke this morning to the former police officer Maggie Oliver, who's just about the only person who comes out well, frankly, from the last 20 years of all of this. And she made it pretty clear that Jess Phillips was in no way interested in meeting her at all. The inquiry is flawed. The inquiry will not work. And we want today to offer perhaps a better solution. But before I do that, I want to introduce you to one of the 5 people who was withdrawn from the inquiry. Ellie Reynolds has come down today from the north of London to stand up here and speak to a packed press conference. And she's going to talk about the inquiry, why she's withdrawn, her lack of trust and faith in the way in which the whole thing is being conducted. And I would ask everyone to bear in mind the immense courage that it takes for Ellie to come here and to do this today. Ellie.
Do you need to start that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello. First of all, I think the inquiry that was set up, it was a mess from the start. When I joined the panel, we knew from the get-go that it was messy. It was a very controlling atmosphere there. It was very gaslighting. very manipulative, and we all went on to do the right thing, and that was to seek justice, that was to find the truth, to not be silenced anymore, and to be able to help our future. And we look at our future generations in this as well, because not only are we about ourselves, but we're also about the present victims and the victims that can occur if this shambles continues. The way that we were spoken to was very degrading. It was very controlling. We weren't allowed to seek support from family members. We weren't allowed to seek support from each and every survivor on the panel. Typically, you find with survivors is that they will confide in each other because we have been through near enough the same thing. So that is the better way that we can seek support. That was taken from us. There was a motivation in that as well to widen the panel, and I think personally that was down to the fact that they don't want to vocalise the ethnicity of these men. We almost felt uncomfortable vocalising the ethnicity of these men, and like we shouldn't. Pretty much when we were in that inquiry, we were stripped from our voices, and we're not going to be stripped from our voices anymore to maintain the higher-ups' comfortability. I decided to withdraw because, my head and my heart were saying two different things. My head was saying, you can really make a change in this, you can really help the future. But in my heart, it wasn't morally correct for me to maintain myself on the panel because of how it was going. It was rigged from the start. I mean, when we got the bios about the former police officer and the former social worker, it was very, very locked down. It was very password protected. We couldn't show it to anybody. We couldn't screenshot it. It was just awful. And I mean, when you're looking at bios of two former institutions that failed us, we were never going to be confident in the first place. We've spent years of our lives trying to grab the attention from police officers and social workers, to be told that we're attention seeking, to be told to shut up and go home. It's been nothing but awful. So when you put these two candidates in front of us, none of the survivors were going to ever sit there and be happy with it. Personally, I asked and I said I'm not keen. However, we were also told to propose two questions to each suspected chair. They've left now, but we had to pose these questions 24 hours prior to meeting them, which, again, I wasn't happy with. I asked why they needed 24 hours. Why couldn't they come back with an answer instantly when they were asked it? We were told what to ask, when to ask it. It was all in all very controlled. And then to top it off, we also had then Jess Phillips calling us a liar in the House of Commons. And the way that she conducted herself alone was absolutely appalling. But to be called a liar by somebody so high up, we're used to it now. We've been called that all our lives. It's just awful that somebody had to do that and degrade us even more when she is a safeguarding minister. She should be safeguarding our children, protecting them. And I do not think that she's capable, which is also why I've called for her to stand down. Keir Starmer obviously had written a letter. I don't necessarily believe he wrote it himself, but that's my personal opinion. To which I replied, we don't want a polite letter. We want accountability. We want justice. We want the truth. And we want it to stop happening to our future. Our future is at risk the longer that this happens for. And we can't afford, I mean, what is it now? Approximately 250,000 victims across the country. That's 250,000 too many, in my opinion. It shouldn't have ever got to one. The scandal is now national. It's a problem and it needs to be fixed. So I withdrew myself because I know that I can make a change, just not through that panel. I will speak and I will raise awareness and I will say what's corrupt. And that inquiry, that was corrupt.
Very good.
Leaders in government have a core duty to protect the most vulnerable in our society. Yet in Britain today, that duty feels abandoned. People who have been hurt must be listened to and not be silenced. It is not just about looking back at what happened in the past, but also a way of engaging to set a good foundation for the future and preventing the past from recurring. This is why leading out of the principle of servant leadership is key. Robert Greenleaf taught that true leaders asked one question: are the least privileged better off? Or at least not further deprived. When the wounded are muted, the answer is clear. The principle collapses. Listening to the wounded is a starting point. Only by hearing their stories can safeguards be built that stop the past from repeating. It's time to return to foundational principle. Protect the most vulnerable, your people and your country first. Restore servant leadership to the government. Do not neglect the vulnerable in your policy rooms and discussions, where policies and direction directly impact them. Place their voices at the center. The country needs leaders whose desire is to serve, not to rule. If you have benefited in any way from this video, please subscribe, like, share, and be sure to leave us a comment.